Good morning, Knicks Nation. Happy Friday to you all out here in Knicks Nation. And also, hopefully you're safe again from these COVID situation. Hopefully, if you're employed, you're gainfully employed. And if you're not, may the Most High bless you and take care of you. Today, I want to talk about what if the Knicks actually kept Julius Randle. Now, I want to reiterate, I do believe the Knicks are going to move Julius Randle before the season starts. I don't believe that they're going to keep him. We'll talk about that as we talk about what if they kept him. But I just want to be clear. I think they're going to move him. I don't think they brought Kenny Payne in for Julius Randle. I think they brought Kenny Payne in for both Kevin Knox and Mitchell Robinson. I think that's what they brought Kenny Payne in here for. So I don't think they brought him in for Julius Randle, and I'll tell you why. Now, just go over some old road that we've already traveled, just as a review. Julius Randle was signed by the New York Knicks as a backup in terms of Plan B, because Steve Mills apparently had him as Plan B if they couldn't get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And we can see that because actually Mills alluded to that. I mean, he didn't say Plan B, but they were right there, like, almost like the first few minutes of free agency, they were already out in California where Julius Randle was ready to sign him. And they signed him first. 3 years, $63 million, 2 years guaranteed, third year guaranteed at $4 million team option. And so they signed him. Now, Julius Randle was drafted out of Kentucky. I think he was top 5 overall. I can't remember what number he was, but by the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers did not extend him after his rookie deal was up. So he ended up going to New Orleans on a 2-year, $18 million deal. That was the deal he got from New Orleans. 2 years, $18 million. When he went to New Orleans, AD was there, and of course, Drew Holiday was there. So he was a third option. He put up nice numbers in that scenario as a third option. He put up nice numbers. I think he was close to 20 and 10. I think he also had a 40-point game. And so Steve Mills and Scott Perry signed Julius Randle as a first option. And we can see why that didn't work, why that wouldn't work. Number one, it didn't work because Julius Randle is really a low post player. He's not a good 3-point shooter, even though he shot a good percentage for him. I think he shot almost 40% with New Orleans, but there was limited. He wasn't shooting it a lot. Okay, he wasn't shooting it a lot. And remember, he was not the first option or the second option. But he's not really a good, consistent 3-point shooter. He's a low post player. You combine him with a Mitchell Robinson, who's a 5 and was playing also under the basket. You have no space. And then, of course, that creates bad spacing for RJ. And it was a bad situation all around. Then they will start Elfrid Payton, who really is a really bad shooter. I mean, he can't even shoot foul shots above 60%. And so you have a really bad situation right there. Okay. And that's what it was. It was badly put together. Now, if you look back at Julius Randle's career from when he was in Los Angeles and even in New Orleans, his best moments really come when he plays the 5, a small ball 5. He's about 6'9", but he is very strong. So it comes when he plays the small ball 5 position is where you get the best out of Julius Randle. And if the Knicks were to keep him, that's what he would have to do. Because if you put him and Mitchell Robinson and RJ in the starting lineup again, nothing's going to change from last year. Nothing's going to change. The middle is going to be clogged. The floor is not going to open. It's going to be ugly. So you can't repeat that. And I really believe that Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau are smart enough to understand that. So if Julius Randle is going to be utilized effectively for the New York Knicks, he's going to probably have to play the 5 spot. Which means if he was to do that, that Mitchell Robinson is going to have to come off the bench. Now, I don't know about you, but we've talked about developing our youth. I think you got to put Mitch out there for 30 minutes a game at the 5. Now, I know we've been seeing Mitchell shoot 3-pointers on these Instagram videos. And Tom Thibodeau did say he's not going to limit Mitch. He wants to expand his game. But I don't see Mitch as a stretch 4. Not at this stage. So that would mean that he has to come off the bench behind Julius Randle. If you have that, and then you put Kevin at the 4, or you draft an Obi Toppin, or you sign a Christian Wood, as a stretch 4, somebody that can stretch the floor that doesn't have to play under the basket to be effective. Now you open up the floor. Now you open up the floor a lot more for RJ. And then, of course, if you add another shooter at the 2 spot, and we talked about several options. We talked about Bogdan Bogdanovic. We talked about Joe Harris. We talked about Malik Beasley. We talked about options at the 2 that the Knicks could definitely acquire because they have the money. Okay? They have the money to acquire one of these guys. They do. There's no question in my mind because all of these guys are looking for the money. Okay? So they have the money to do it. It's just a question of how much they're willing to pay. So you get a stretch 4, you get a 2 that can shoot the ball, and now you put Julius Randle at the 5, and now you have an effective unit right there. You have an effective unit right there. Now, Mitchell Robinson, this is his 3rd season coming up. This is his 3rd season. So he's still young in his career. It's his 3rd season. I would be disappointed if they didn't start him. That's why I'm thinking they're going to move Julius Randle, because I cannot see Julius. Okay, let's take another perspective. Let's say if they're going to keep Julius Randle, he would have to back up Mitch at the 5. He would be the backup 5. Now, are you going to pay him $20 million or 19 something to be a backup 5? Will he want to happily take that position as a backup 5 after being signed to be the highest paid player on the team and the number 1 option? I don't think so. So that's why I'm saying that I can't see how he's going to stay, because he's not going to create space. And this is not a knock on Julius Randle as a player. It's just a knock on his position within the New York Knicks scheme. He's not a ball handler. He's not a 3-point shooter. Okay, offensively. Defensively, he's not a good, he's not even a willing defender, right? But I have to believe that Thibodeau is not going to have it, so he's going to have to put some effort in on the defense. And that brings me to another point. I was looking at a podcast that JJ Redick did. JJ Redick, you know who he is. He's, he's a sharpshooter, and he has a podcast on YouTube. And he was interviewing DeMar DeRozan. And it was an interesting interview because they were talking about LeBron and how, LeBron was stopping those Toronto teams from advancing, knocking them out the playoffs. And DeRozan brought up something that, to me, epitomizes what makes LeBron James one of the greatest players ever. He said during the course of one of their games, he said that Toronto had won 2 games. I think he said it was the 2016 playoffs. He said Toronto had won 2 games in the series already. They were up. And in the 3rd or the 4th game, Toronto was running a play So Kyle Lowry called out a play. And one of the players called back and said, what was it? What was it? And LeBron not only knew the play, but told the guy where he was supposed to be. This is on Toronto's offense. So that LeBron not only knows where his team is supposed to be, he knows what your team is going to do. And not only does he know that, he also anticipates what adjustments you're going to make against his team. That's called a coach on the floor. That's called high IQ. That's what you want from a coach. I mean, Fizdale didn't do that. Understand what the other team was going to do, understand their plays, understand their vulnerabilities, and prepare for that, and then prepare for an adjustment after that. But LeBron does that on the floor. So you combine a high IQ with, top level athleticism. And that's why he is who he is. Michael Jordan was like that. Magic Johnson was like that. I mean, you could count, on one hand, two hands in history of ball, guys that were like that. But Tom Thibodeau is high IQ as far as basketball. And defensively, you need a high IQ and offensively to play in his system. Now, Julius Randle's IQ has improved from when he came into the league to now. He definitely has. But I would not consider him high IQ. RJ is high IQ. Definitely. And you can make a career just on that if you have, if you're in the NBA, like Frank, like RJ, these guys have high IQ. They play a thinking man's basketball game. They do. So let's assume that Thibodeau can bring out the defensive IQ of Julius Randle. Okay. To be the most effective, he has to play small ball 5. He cannot play the 4. Not with RJ on this team, because if RJ was a sharpshooter, if he was a jump shooter, somebody that can really shoot the rock, that's different. That's different because now he's a threat from the 3-point line. But at this stage, RJ is not a threat from the 3-point line. RJ understands that. And so he's going to develop that over time. He's only just turned 20. The boy was just 19 last year in his rookie season. So he could develop that. Okay. But he's not there right now. And you need to open up the floor to make him effective. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to have Julius Randle on the team, he's going to have to play small ball 5. He's going to have to play the 5. He cannot play the 4. He's not a stretch 4. He's going to clog the court. And so, of course, again, even if we want Kevin Knox to start at the 4, Kevin can shoot the ball. I mean, all his detractions aside, he could become a really good shooter. He has shown that. He has shown flashes of it. Put it that way. He has shown flashes of it. So if you want Kevin at the 4, and even if you put Dot at the 2, just saying if you don't even get anybody, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to bring in some shooters, but if you don't get anybody, you put Dot at the 2. And Dot can shoot a little bit. So you have Kevin and Dot. And now you have a Julius Randle at the 5. That would work better. That is why if you look at the Knicks statistics, and this is what a lot of the people that comment on my channel, I notice a lot of them comment out of emotion. They're not commenting out of anything they've actually looked up or studied. Okay. Like, oh, no, this guy will never come to New York. They don't understand, the way people want to get paid and how much money plays into somebody's choice of what team they're going to go to. Or, oh, this guy never did this. He can't do that. When you look at the stats, it says he can. So I looked at the stats again, we talked about last season, the best units the Knicks put on the floor, the ones that were plus in the plus minus category. And Bobby Portis was involved with a lot of the plus minuses. And it was when he was playing the 5, actually, because Bobby Portis can stretch the floor and he's not just strictly a low post player. Right. And so that opened up the floor for everybody that he played with. Now, if I can see them keeping Bobby. It's $15 million is a lot, but like I said, you're going to overpay for somebody, and he's already been with us. They might keep Bobby because he can stretch the floor, and Bobby, He looks like a goofy country boy. He does, with them bug eyes and that Arkansas accent. But he has a higher IQ than even I thought he did. And it bears out with the 5-man units he played with, the 4-man, so many positive minutes he put on the floor for the Knicks. But if we're going to keep Julius Randle, they're probably not going to keep Bobby Portis. And if they're going to keep Julius again, he's going to probably have to play a 5. He's going to have to play the 5 for the Knicks to be effective. I can't see him stretching the floor enough as a 4 because his game is not that. His game is foul line in. That's his game. His game is not out to the 3-point line. His game is foul line in. Okay. And again, he's really best effective as a third option. If he was the 5 and you have an RJ, and let's say you got a Bogdanovich at the 2, and let's say you got Kevin at the 4 and you got RJ at the 3. So now Bogdanovich is a threat. RJ is a threat. Kevin's a threat, right? So now that opens up the floor for Julius Randle. I can see him being a 20-10 guy, 18-10 guy in that scenario as a 5. But then what are you doing with Mitchell Robinson? You know? So that's the dilemma that we're in. If we keep Randle, to me, that's how he would be most effective. If you're not going to put him in that, it doesn't make sense to keep him. He's not going to want to come off the bench as a backup 5. He's not a stretch 4. Okay. I don't care what Kenny Payne could do with his footwork. He's a close to the basket player. He's not a stretch 4. I mean, if you brought in, I saw a picture on, Twitter the other day where they had Dennis Smith Jr. sitting next to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Now, I'm a whole head, so I'm just going to tell you, I've seen Jerry West play. I've seen, obviously we've seen Stephen Curry play. Abdul Mahmoud Rauf, in the form of Chris Jackson out of Louisiana, is the best shooter there ever was in the NBA. That guy, you have to have watched it. He is the best shooter there ever was in the NBA. Now, I thought when I seen him sitting next to Dennis Smith Jr., I said, boy, if you learn even a pinky worth of that brother's shooting, you're going to be a better shooter because Abdul could put it up there, man. Okay. Now, if you had Julius Randle working with a guy like that on his jump shot, okay, you might get some improvement there. Because Mahmoud could do it. He could shoot it, man. Okay. It's like having Stephen Curry as your shooting coach or Jerry West as your shooting coach. Mahmoud is like that. So, but outside of that, and Kenny Payne is not a shooting coach, I don't see how Julius Randle would fit otherwise. I can't see how he fits as a 4, and I can't see how he fits, as a backup center at $20 million a year. It makes no sense to me. So I think they're going to move him. And I think they're going to either put Kevin at that 4 spot and play him, which 30 minutes a game that boy needs. Let's put him out there. Let's see what he can do. Same with Frank. Put him out there 30 minutes a game. Let's see what he could do. Same with RJ. Same with Mitch, right? And I think, obviously I like Doc, right? But I think they're like I said, Bogdanovich and Malik Beasley are better than Doc. I'm just saying. And they're both better than Doc. Just better shooters, better players. Now, defensively, I have to give the edge to Doc. But Bogdanovich with a 6'11" wingspan between Frank and RJ, I don't think he's going to be defenseless. He's going to be a willing defender. He's a high IQ player. I like that cat, Bogdanovich, and I like Beasley because we could get Beasley at a reasonable price. Even if it's a shorter term, if he wants a longer term, we could get him. We could pay him. Even if we have to overpay him, we could get him. Now, Beasley's not a good defender. He's not. Again, I'm depending on Thibs because if you're an older head, maybe Thibs is not going to help you because you stuck in your ways. Like Taj Gibson's not going to change his game. He's a good defender, I'm saying, but he's not going to change his game all of a sudden. Ellington's not going to change his game. They're older. Okay. Chris Paul is what he is, right? But a guy that's 24, and Beasley's not going to be 24 until like in late November. He's 23. Guys like that can still be molded. So I'm thinking, I'm depending on Thibs and Payne and Bryant to make this guy a better defender if we brought him here. Same with Bogdanovich. I'd take either one of those cats. But you put them at the 2, just that, with the cats we already got, and you open up the floor. You open up the floor already. And if you wanted some of y'all, really in the last video, you really favor Christian Wood. Okay. I mean, I'm not down on Christian Wood. I want to see Kevin Knox get some minutes though, but you put Christian Wood out there and he shoots the ball, He showed he can shoot very well. You put Christian Wood out there. He not only can play the 4, he can back up Mitch at the 5. Okay. I'd pay him $19 million, right? 3 years. Okay. So I guess what I'm saying is if we're going to keep Randle, he's going to have to be the starting 5, the 5 spot, the starting center, if we're going to keep him, which is why I'm saying I don't think they're going to. I cannot see him starting at the 4 because of the style of his game. Okay. I can't see him doing that. I don't see that. I know Thibs said he's a pro's pro. Thibs, I want to tell you, and I said that before, he's not going to give away anything in terms of what he's really thinking about these players. For number one, it would put in the New York media, it's like catnip. You give them a hint of something and they running off with it. You give Berman a hint of something, all of a sudden it's on the front page the next day about what this is going to happen and he don't even know. So Thibs is not going to give the media a whole bunch of information about what he's thinking in terms of who he wants to play. He's not going to do that. Okay. So I'm not taking what he says and saying, oh, this means this and this means that. I'm going by, when you want to look at Thibodeau, you got to go by his history. Like I said, the Bible says an Ethiopian can't change his skin and a leopard can't change his spots. And the only change I see Thibodeau making is in the length and intensity of his practices. And that's during the season. Preseason, in camp, he gonna kill them cats, and he needs to. He gonna put them through some hell. They going into boot camp with Thibs. But once the season starts and they got back-to-backs and stuff, I don't see him killing them in the practices like that. I think that's how he's gonna preserve some of these younger guys. But other than that, he's not gonna change. No. He's gonna be hard. He's gonna be rough. He's gonna expect defense. He's gonna expect IQ. He's gonna expect smart basketball. He's not having it. He's not having it. Okay? And so his history tells us that. He's gonna focus on defenders. He traded Zach LaVine to get Josh Okogie because Josh Okogie was a defender. Now think about that. And he got Jimmy Butler, which obviously a 2-way player. But that's what he did. That's what he did. Okay. He made trades to get, what was that guy's name? The guy is now, he's a defender and he was on the Houston Rockets. But he was with Minnesota. He came from Philly. I'm going to find him. Some of y'all going to help me. I know. But he came from Philly and he was with the Houston Rockets. And then he ended up on Minnesota Timberwolves before he went to Houston because Thibs wanted him because he was a defender. What was that guy's name, man? Hold on. I'm going to find it right now. Robert Covington, 6'7", out of Tennessee State. Thibs wanted him on the team, and he got him from Philadelphia. Thibs looks for defenders, man. That's the bottom line. You're going to have to play defense with him. Okay? So, if we kept Randle, he's got to be a 5. He's not going to be the 4. I can see that. He's not going to do that. He can't. He's not going to be able to stretch the floor. Okay. And you got Mitchell Robinson. So if you see them keeping Randle, to me that says they're telling us that Mitchell's coming off the bench again this year. And he may get some minutes. Now he might get 25 minutes a game still. Okay. He might. But I don't want to see that. I want Mitchell Robinson out there on the floor. If the cat fouls out, if he gets hurt, whatever, put him out there for 30 minutes a game. That's what I'm talking. And put our young boys out there, 30 minutes a game, all of them. Knox, RJ, Frank, put him out there. And whoever they draft this year as a rookie, I don't expect that guy. And y'all know I'm high on Vassell. Vassell or Okoro, I don't expect them to start. I expect them to come off the bench. I think they're going to go get a shooter from the free agency. Okay. If they draft Obi Toppin, I'm expecting him to start because Obi Toppin ain't 19 years old. He's 23. He's a grown man. So, I'm expecting him to start if they draft Obi Toppin. Okay. So anyway, tell me what y'all think, but that's what I'm thinking. I can't see how they would keep Randle. Thibs is too smart. He's a smart cat. I mean, I'm really impressed with his basketball IQ, how he runs his offense and defense. People just think of him as hard-nosed, and he is. But this cat, I mean, he's not married to a woman. He's married to basketball. If he got a ring on his finger, that boy's married to basketball. All right? Because that's how he eat, sleep, and drink the game. So he's all in. And I can't see how Julius Randle fits. I just can't see it. But let me know what y'all think. Have a good weekend. Shalom.